So my mom died May 30th. I got the dreaded text, actually. It wasn't even me that got it. It was my daughter. Relatives, just one, I believe, sent her a text about my mom dying. She actually didn't say die. She just said, "I'm sorry about your grandmother." And so my daughter showed me the text message because I hadn't received any phone calls. I have been estranged from my biological mother for many years. And I didn't feel like I would really ever get that dreaded phone call properly. My heart of hearts, I kind of knew that maybe it might not happen. It's funny, you think your parents are going to live forever, that they're just always going to be there. I'll be quite honest with you. I was afraid of my mother. She frightened me. She was very emotionally abusive. And I always thought that when she did die, that I would get relief. And I have to say I did. I got a sort of relief. But it was still a shock because I didn't know she was dying. I didn't realize that she was sick, or so sick. Hospice was involved, and no one called me. I was her only daughter. I have another sibling. It's hard to imagine what you're gonna, or how you're gonna react. As an ex-Jehovah's Witness, we never really expect to get phone calls. We kind of know that we're just gonna find out through the grapevine. Many of us do find out that way. I got a phone call from a relative. She's in a different state altogether. And she didn't leave me a message. It was on Messenger. So I called her back the next day. And she said, yeah, she was sorry for my mom's death. And I told her I didn't know anything about it. She explained to me some of the relatives were taking care of her. Again, nothing. I knew nothing. But I was grateful that she was the one that told me. She was kind. And I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to tell me, actually. So my mom had walked me through the process before she was going to die. We had gone over certain things that she wanted me to take care of because I was considered the oldest. And of course, I would handle the financial transactions. And she did most of that after my father's death. So I knew what to do. Again, I hadn't received any phone calls from any family here in California or anyone dealing with her death. I went to her lawyer and he explained to me, yes, my mom was dead. He had just delivered some food out, or he works 2 houses down from our house that I grew up in. It was strange. I got an opportunity to kind of let things out and cry a little bit. I hadn't cried yet. Not really. I was mostly in shock. Probably shocked because no one called me, which is fine. We weren't close as a family. My family always reminded me of this.
Son, fuck you and your family.
We were never the family that is portrayed in the JW videos.
Your mom and dad who love you. And you have Jehovah.
We were 3 of the only Mexican family that lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. As time went on, most of the white people left. And it was left with Hispanic people, Mexicans. We lived in a quiet neighborhood for Santa Ana, or Santana. And yet we were the only Mexican family would have policemen come often to the house. We were also the only Jehovah's Witness family that had policemen come to the house. It was quite embarrassing. There was a lot of physical and emotional abuse. And my mom was a big part of that. I didn't expect what I heard from the lawyer, which was that I was disinherited. And it wasn't so much the money, although the money would have been nice, not gonna lie. But it was the word disinherited. Prior to my disassociation, I had gone to my mother and I had told her I was going to be disassociated. And I knew that when I saw her that last time, which was just pure happenstance. We like bike riding. We just happened to go to a certain kind of boutique, a bike boutique. And she always had her post office box right across the street. She would send most of her mail there. And I happened to see her. It was there that I told her, well, I walked in and I had told her that I was getting disassociated. Before I did that, I kind of watched her from afar. I kind of knew that it might be the last time I see my mom. So I kind of savored it. I told her I loved her. I told her that the reasons why I was leaving. I told her about the cover-up. I was honest. I told her that my brother needed help. And I was hoping that she would open her heart and let him in. I told her that. I was grateful that she gave me those few minutes, because most of the time my mom would walk off and pretend that I didn't exist. I think that's where disinherited, that word, when the lawyer talked to me, was so hurtful. The definition of disinheritance, according to Webster's dictionary, cut off, dispossess, impoverish, disown, repudiate, renounce, reject, oust, cast off, cast aside, wash one's hands of. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't. And I didn't want any of my mother's money. Interesting enough, I did tell her about the child molesting. And she kind of had said that her and a friend had talked about it. And she wondered if the brothers had tried to hide it. I wrote down a Royal Australian Commission, and I don't think she ever really looked, or if she did, it didn't matter. 50% went to my sibling, and the other 50%, you guessed it, went to the society, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. But what's sad about the whole situation is that my mom gave them the money. My mother had siblings that she could have given that money to. It was very shocking that it didn't work out that way, because there's a lot of people just like me as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and we kind of know that this is going to happen. We kind of know. I already knew. The last time my mom had kicked me out of her life, and this was before I had disassociated myself, I knew that it would probably be the last time I'd see my mom, and gratefully so. I'm grateful I didn't get a penny. I'm grateful that I can come and tell you the truth. I'm grateful that I can tell you my truth. I'm grateful that I can not take any money and feel guilty about smiling through it all and faking it that I got along with my mother and that she was such a good person and all the things that brothers and sisters thought about my mother, which was totally different from how she treated us as a family and what she did to her close family relatives. Anybody who was close to my mom had to deal with her viper-like bite. And generally, no one in the congregation ever saw that. She used the Bible and God as a punishment for all of us at one point or another, including my sibling. So I had talked to a detective. I had tried to find out if this man that molested 13 little boys, plus, had ever been put in a registry of some sort. This detective dealt with all of the child molesters between San Diego County and Orange County, and I believe LA County. I proceeded to tell him what the child molester had done, and that because of these things, well, my sibling was affected. And as most people are affected by child molest, in and out of jail, things that can happen in their marriages, which has happened to a lot of the young men that are and have been molested by this man. It's sad. And I was explaining to the detective all the terrible things that were happening, the emotional abuse that was happening, even with my sibling. And he explained to me, no, people can get help. And a lot of people get help. And they don't go back and abuse. And it was hard for me to hear because I always gave my mom and others that had been molested an out because they were molested. I didn't understand they have a responsibility to take care of themselves. Yes, those things happen to them, but it doesn't give them the right to be unkind and more destructive to you. My family household was very dysfunctional. There was one way at the Kingdom Hall and another way at home. I was grateful to leave. I was grateful to get out. Now my family is very, very mafia Mexican type of behavior. Very unkind. They learned well from a good corporation how to treat their family members.
Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing. Nothing.
Isolation being one of them. But I saw a young man. He was on one of Leah Remini's Scientology episodes, and he said something very wise. He was probably in his 20s, and he said, you know, when your family rejects you, that's a good thing that they reject you, because you need to get away from them. I love Dr. Romani. She explained a lot when it came to my family and how a family, you know, that they can be almost as destructive as the individual that is emotionally abusive. Kind of like a cult itself. It was the first doctor I had ever heard of that explained certain personality traits that I saw in my mom and have been handed down by generations in my family. So it was eye-opening to see and hear someone say, you know, sometimes people can just be a jerk and there's nothing you can do about it. It depends on how you react to it. I had to do some healing work. I thought I had healed. I thought I was okay. And unfortunately, it brought back a lot of memories that I thought were already taken care of. There's nothing like being thrown away by your parents. My dad was an enabler. He enabled my mom in so many ways. And in that way, I still have a hard time with that. He did a lot of abusive things, unbeknownst to himself. And even though he tried to get away from it, he put us in situations that were very dangerous emotionally. He would tell me, oh, she loves you in her own way. No. I think my mom had loved us her own way, but when things didn't go her way and we didn't do it her way, it was chaos. And she made it so difficult for all of us. My dad was the one that got the brunt of it all. When he died, in his hands were her letter to him about all the things that he had done wrong, that he was not a good person because he couldn't get things together spiritually. He didn't want to get disfellowshipped again. And yeah, he took the easy way out, I think, sometimes, and left, well, me with her. In fact, he told me, please take care of her. And that wasn't something that was my responsibility. It was my mother's responsibility to take care of herself. She was the parent. I was the child. My mom and dad would play checkers. And when my mom saw that he was winning, she'd get the checkerboard and flip all the checkers into the air. And then no one could see who won. Not really. It's strange. Death, you'd think, would give you some sort of solace. But again, I still have a lot of questions as to why she didn't give her siblings any of that money. I didn't even care that it wasn't mine. Yes, like I said, I would have loved it a little bit, but it didn't come without strings attached. I needed to be free from her. So I was willing to walk away, which I knew would happen. I knew it deep inside. Might be the last time I ever saw her when I saw her in that post office on that day. I loved her, but there was a point in it as a child where you realize that it's dangerous to love your parent. As Jehovah's Witnesses, we often say that the brothers have said on the pulpit in the watchtower, that you can look at things around you in creation and see Jehovah in them. I looked up animals that eat their own young, mothers that eat their own young. There were quite a few. I was grateful to recognize that there is no creator, no God, just part of life. Life. That's life. It is life. It is. It's strange. Life is strange sometimes. Doesn't make a lot of sense. My mom did a lot of things to save herself. I knew that it was either my mind or my family or my mother. I had heard once from another daughter who had said that her family would often treat her beloved and beloveds so unkindly that she couldn't take it anymore. I saw how it affected my children. I had gone to a circuit assembly. For the first time, I had seen myself and my daughter. She had a terrible panic attack when she had seen my mother. I couldn't calm her down. She was about 12. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't console the child. I couldn't hold her tight enough. I couldn't tell her, look, there's all these people around, that she's not going to hurt you. She's not going to hurt us. There was nothing I could do. There was a sweet sister. She had a lot of chutzpah. And I was so grateful to her because she grabbed my daughter and she said, what is going on? Why are you having this problem? What is going on with you? And my daughter proceeded to tell her that there was someone in the room that had been unkind to her and her family, and she saw it, and she just didn't know how to explain to the sister who it was. She didn't tell her name, but she told her that person made her scared, and she was afraid, and she was acting out of the fear. The sister grabbed her and hugged her and said, tell me where she is. Tell me so I can kick her ass. This was at a circuit assembly. She consoled my daughter and comforted her enough to calm her down so that we could sit at the next part. She came up to me afterward and she said, oh, Ina, I'm so sorry. She goes, I didn't know that who the person was that I said, what I said about was your mother. It was okay. It was fine by me, actually, because it was probably something that I needed to hear when I was that age. Just someone to console me during the times that my mother created so much chaos for all of us. Not a lot of people agree with the fact that I should be doing this. But there's a lot more people out there than actually come out and say that their parents have been abusive and that we have to forgive them because they're the only parents that we have. The only mother. I constantly got that. She's your only mother. You have to make it right. At the end, I stopped making it right. I just let it happen naturally. And gratefully so. I have my mind. Although I wish that these memories would go away and not be so strong. It has affected me in my body. I have seizures. And unfortunately, oh my goodness, it's just wreaking havoc right now all over my body. Like I said, memories that I thought were dead and that I didn't take care of possibly, or that resurface because of finding out that she was, or that she is gone. I'm not really sure, but I'm looking forward to the time when I don't have that anymore, that I don't react in any way that could not continue my mental health recovery. I'm glad that I'm away from people that don't show love in a way that is healthy. And unfortunately, people in this organization, it makes them worse. It makes them harder. It makes them demanding and cruel and jealous into individuals that are not good. It's strange. My sibling told me he wanted nothing to do with me or my family, that I shouldn't show my face at the funeral or whatever they're gonna have, which was fine by me because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to pretend. I was disappointed that no one called. I was disappointed my mom gave money to those people. It's unfortunate, but I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see the elders. I don't want to see the pioneers, people that thought my mom was one way and then having to deal with her in a different way was what I knew of her. And it was hard dealing with my dad's death and his suicide and having to shake everyone's hand. And when you're dealing with a suicide, it's quick and you're shocked again. And this was kind of like that as well. It's shocking. But some of the family got to say goodbye. It was different. My mom died slowly of cancer. So the body keeps score is very helpful and was very helpful to understanding some of the things that she went through. Because I see her as a human being, but not a good mother. Some people shouldn't be mothers or parents, for that matter. Through the years, she had anorexia, she had scleroderma, depression. She had scores of different health issues. It's because I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of fear and anger and shame. And it was hard for my mom. She too was molested. So it was something I understood later on in life. But like I said, it doesn't give somebody an excuse to be an asshole. You have to learn to get better for your children, for your children's children, to be a good parent, to be a good grandparent. So, yeah. My family was like that. Difficult, sad. And the reason why I tell you these things is because by me telling you, that means I'll get better. Little by little, it'll change. What are you scared to say about your parents? Yeah. I'll put a link below. I found this very interesting on YouTube. What are you scared to say? I was scared to say it before. I didn't want to hurt my mom or cause any more damage to my mom. I'm grateful I don't get a penny because I can do this. And I don't have to pretend. I don't have to pretend that none of this happened, that we weren't hurt by this organization, that I have to sit down in a Kingdom Hall and pretend that my mother was this great person when she was very, very destructive. Proverbs 14:1 was always my favorite scripture because it was my mother. I never wanted to be that way. And I hope that I can change things in a lot of ways. I think I already am. Yes, I got that dreaded phone call where my brother contacted me. It was pretty harsh, but I understand. And I'm angry too. I don't think that a lot of us have a good ending to our story. You know, the one that we really wanted. I just wanted love. I wanted a happy family. I wanted my family to be happy. Get out. Stay out. Don't look back. And make your family different. I have that opportunity now. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I love my family. I love my girls. I love my husband. And I wouldn't change anything. In a lot of ways, my husband and I had tried so hard with my mother. It was impossible to make her happy. Impossible. It was impossible for my dad. Anyone around her for long periods of time. It was almost impossible. She would switch on like a light bulb, off and then on again. And you never knew exactly what you did wrong. I was a faithful sister for many years. And yet she didn't talk to me. So I had experienced disfellowshipping, in a sense, when I finally disassociated myself and freed myself of this belief system. It changed me. It changed the way I thought. It changed the way I look at things. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be out of religion altogether. And I'm grateful for Christopher Hitchens, Amber Scora, Lady C, Barbara Anderson. Women, I think, women that were strong enough to turn around and make a different choice. For their families. And they lost them along the way, unfortunately. Not all of us have a family. I know I've forgotten people. Chessa Mannion. Thank you. Thank you for your strength. You helped us. You helped me. And I could not be more grateful. follow your bliss, and be good humans.